going live. What is up, people? Take a sip of water. What is up, everyone? Harry the Big Dog here with the DJ interview. It is Tuesday, 8-ish. Somebody type in the chat. Let me know you are there. Let me check my Facebook over here. Facebook's been acting crazy, so hopefully we'll get on and get everything going. Well, we gonna go. I don't see anything in Facebook. My Facebook's been acting crazy for the last couple of hours. But welcome, good evening. I see somebody that said okay. Welcome, good evening. This is Harry the Big Dog with the DJ interview. And I don't know if you guys heard the news or seen any of my posts earlier about Facebook, and they're really cracking down on streaming for the DJs. So just get ready for it. It's coming October 1st, 2020. And they're talking about, blocking your pages, groups, and business pages, and or deleting them. So if you value somebody's, yeah, Chris, it's Facebook is acting crazy, so I don't see anything on my Facebook. And I've been refreshing for a little bit. Oh, there I go. There I go. Yeah, it's been acting crazy. So, but Facebook is cracking down and or there he is. There we are. All right. Oh, there I is. All right. So we got DJ Cam who joined. We got Chris Gloss who's there. Like I'm saying, getting back to Facebook, getting distracted with Facebook. They're really cracking down on the DJs. So DJs, beware. I will be putting this out all month to beware. Get ready for October 1st. If you think they've been going crazy now, you're really going to be mad when they, possibly start deleting people's accounts. So without further ado, we are bringing in a DJ straight from the West Coast. It is still daylight over there. It's nighttime, Eastern time. I'm looking out the window. What's up, guys? Hey, what's up, Larry? I gotta get back with you. Hey, so we're gonna bring in this special DJ. He's coming from, he's been in New York, he's been in New Jersey, and now he's out representing San Diego in the West Coast. What is up, DJ T Major?
What up, Harry? What up, man? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh man, how you doing today?
Pretty good, man. I had a rough day. My day job was giving me a headache all day, having network issues and stuff, but like you said, it's still nice and hot out here. It's daylight, so got plenty of the daylight left to enjoy and have a good time with. So, no harm, no foul.
For real, everything is okay out there. I know it don't rain or anything out there, rarely. And you was telling me about these brush fires.
Yeah, so we got some pretty bad wildfires about 30 miles out. They're already evacuating people, and woke up today to a bunch of ash all over my car. My car's all black, so immediately could see that it was coated in ash. It was real hazy and muggy out all day, so definitely hasn't been too gentle on us in terms of the heat and the dryness.
Right.
So the wildfires have been crazy.
Oh man. I'm sorry to hear that. But we have you here representing.
That's right. I'm happy to be here, man.
So
Yeah, originally New York, now out in Cali.
yeah, cool. So yeah, let's get this started. Tell everybody your real name if you want, your DJ name, and how you got started in this DJ business. Your story is a little more interesting than others.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm not I'm not your typical started in the bedroom at 18 or 16 years old DJ. I actually grew up in New Jersey. My name's Tamer. My DJ name's DJ T Major. Grew up in New Jersey. Born to immigrant family that was very hardworking and the oldest of five siblings. So spent a lot of my life just working hard. Held a lot of different jobs over the years. Went to school in New York City, and then after going to school in New York City, lived there for a little bit. So I spent about 5, 6 years in New York City. Lived in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, um, and then all right, they're saying they can't hear me.
Yeah, I just seen that.
Hold on.
Turn your mic up a little. I hear you clear.
How do I sound now?
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's much louder.
Can they hear me?
Hey, type in the chat if you can hear him now. Louder, loud and clear. It's like a 15-second delay, so.
Just looks like I got an audio signal going in when I'm talking. So
Hmm. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. DJ Cam, somebody, let us know you can hear us.
these are the pleasures of being technology driven. You know what I'm saying?
This is live.
Yeah. A little better.
uh,
All right, I'm gonna
the
crank it
sound is
up.
better. Sound is better.
How do I sound now, guys? Let me know how I sound now.
Oh, you good. You sound real clear now and loud. Thanks, Alan. Hey, Amy. Thank you, DJ Cam. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
let me know if you guys are having trouble hearing me or not.
Go ahead and finish with your story. Your I guess
Yeah,
we can start this.
so like I was saying, I didn't start out being a DJ. I grew up loving music, but coming from a hardworking family, being the oldest of five people, definitely needed to hold my own and kind of become financially independent. So I worked my butt off, and then took some time from school. I was actually an EMT for about 5, 6 years. Lived in New Jersey for a couple years after moving there from New York again. And then 3 years ago, decided to move out here to San Diego. My day job had an opening here, and after visiting it in 2016 with my girlfriend, I just decided this is the place I want to be. You know what I mean? And for multiple reasons, the weather was good. It was a good location. Culture was great. And it was a nice change from the hustle and bustle of New York City and the grind and obviously the snow and all the bad weather. Um, so, when I moved out here, it was only natural that I felt more inspired to pursue the things I actually love versus just, continuing the usual 9 to 5 grind, which I am still doing. But
Yeah,
I just realized at that point, being somewhere where I was happier and where I was more comfortable, I instantly felt like this is the best time for me to pursue something that I really love. And so doing a lot of soul searching and knowing already that I loved music, I was always the guy curating the playlists. I'm the guy showing up and they're like, yo, just plug in the phone. Come on, let's play something for us. And so ultimately that led to me going, you know what, I'm going to be a DJ. I really want to DJ. I really want to get into DJing. And then,
now tell
rest
us.
is
This is
history.
this is where the interesting part comes. Tell us around the time where you're thinking this. How
Yeah.
long ago?
Roughly 3 years ago. So right
Years.
after moving out here, it's crazy because you think moving to a new place, there's a lot going on. You're trying to acclimate and adapt, but at the same time, for me, it's like this is as good a time as ever to pursue this. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? What's going through my head is I'm in a new place. I have a fresh start in terms of who I can be and who I can define myself to be, whether as a DJ or as a person or as an artist. and knowing that I had a lot of energy and a lot of artistic energy that I wanted to express, first thought in my head is I got to do some research and find out what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Like, sure, DJing is appealing on the exterior, but a lot of people underestimate the amount of work that goes into becoming a DJ, and then
Real.
and then remaining a consistent DJ that is not only relevant but also skilled. And so, with that being said, I just, I did what anybody would do when they're getting into a big venture of any kind. Just did my research, read up on a lot of things, read up on the culture, read up on the technical side of DJing. I was already a tech geek, so that was like second nature for me. That was something that I was already excited about getting into.
Yeah.
Obviously, researched the equipment, researched what I needed to begin,
Hey,
and
hey, look,
yeah.
turntables. Those are turntables. I don't know if you know what they are.
Oh yeah.
I'm kidding.
From old DJ to new DJ. That's the usual joke. Hey man, I'd love to get my hands on a couple turntables, but it's a good point you bring that up, because from a big a big thing when it comes to deciding on your equipment is obviously budget. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I was blessed to have a 9 to 5 that helps me fuel and fund my passions, but at the same time, I had to be budget conscious when investing in a piece of equipment.
yeah,
So naturally, my first piece of equipment, because I had options, and that's the beautiful thing about DJs today is that they have options, is that I was able to do the research and know that I could at least get started practicing, learning the craft, learning how to mix on a $250 controller, just to kind of get
right.
my feet wet. Because a lot of people will use the money excuse as a way to never pursue something that they want to pursue. And even though there are expensive ways to get into hobbies and get into things that you love, and everything's an investment in life, ultimately there is always a different route to getting there. You know what I mean? No one person's path is that unique. And so for that reason, you have to do the research, like I said, and you have to really just kind of, if you're willing to make it happen, you're going to make it happen. You're going to find a way.
Yeah, we got Dave Bartlett coming from YouTube. What's up, Dave?
Yeah, Dave's my best friend from Jersey. He's one of them. Yeah.
Oh, cool. What's
Yeah,
up?
I've known Dave like 10 years. What up, Dave?
We got international DJ Tommy Lee checking in.
Hey, what up,
What's
Tommy
up,
Lee?
Tommy Lee?
Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate it.
So now you're in this venture now. You said your first controller was a $250 one.
Mhm.
What program did you use? Serato, Virtual DJ?
So I'm the oddball. I went for Record Box.
Your record box.
Yeah.
Wow, you're gonna have a lot of haters on here.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm waiting for the comments to start scrolling down. Listen, I got nothing against Serato. It just came down to, for me personally, as an inexperienced DJ getting into it, when I did the research, a lot of the consensus was that the beginner equipment that was being introduced for Record Box was trying to mimic a club standard layout. So for that reason, I wanted to start on something that I know I could metamorphosize into eventually professional grade gear and not
Right,
have a huge problem transitioning. For example, a lot of the beginner Serato controllers, they're not really laid out the way many of the professional grade mixers or setups are laid out. And for that reason, I didn't go that route. And I know that I'm kind of, taking the road less traveled in that way. But I've never, I've never looked back. Honestly, I'm actually pretty happy with it. It's an extremely powerful and capable program, and I think what I notice is that it tends to be more common, like overseas, for some
yeah.
reason. But overall, I think it's extremely capable, if not as capable as Serato.
So look at here. Tommy Lee, DJ Tommy Lee, he said he wants to learn record box.
Yeah, I mean, I highly encourage it. Look, when it comes down to it, is there a major difference between all of these softwares? I'm not going to get into virtual DJ. Sorry,
Right,
visual DJ users out there, but when it comes to Serato and Rekordbox, I think they give each other a run for their money.
right.
And as the equipment develops and grows and expands and gets built upon, you're naturally going to end up with two very fierce and powerful programs, no matter how you spin it.
Yeah, and I thought more people would take to it, being that Pioneer came out and they did Record Box before they messed with Serato.
Yeah.
Thought
Well,
more
also you
people.
got the DDJ 1000 that was introduced roughly 2 or 3 years ago,
Yep,
almost now,
and that
and
was Record Box first.
yeah, and a lot of people were complaining why they didn't make one for Serato. Now, I thought Pioneer was going to go the proprietary route and just say, you know what, I'm not going to make one for Serato, but they ended up not doing that. They ended up introducing the SRT, so now everybody can get their option. Um, but I think ultimately, for me personally, it's an excellent program. I've never had any issues with it, and for the most part, it runs extremely smooth.
Nice, nice. So if you have questions for DJ T Major, put them in the comments.
I
We are
see my other
here.
best friend Dino from New York, New Jersey is out in the YouTube chat. What up, Dino? Appreciate you being here, man.
What's up, Dino? So now take us through your short DJ career from 2000. We're talking about 2017
Yeah.
ish to now. What have you done?
Honestly, so I spent almost the first year in my bedroom, like not really playing for anybody except my girlfriend and any friends that were willing to listen. But other than that, just kind of did it on my own. Just wanted to, you know, be as good as I can at it before doing it publicly. So I
Right.
did that, and then I let it slip to a couple coworkers at the office at the time that I was getting into DJing. So December of 2018 is when I actually did my first gig. And so they approached me and they were planning the holiday party for the office. And they were like, hey, we would love to have a DJ. We can't actually pay you this year because the budget's tight, but free food and drink and everything that you want, as long as you provide us entertainment. And I honestly agreed. And man, I look back at my setup at the time and I'm just like, I put my head down in shame because I didn't even have a laptop stand. I was using like a mail crate with like a cover on. I mean, it was hilarious, man, but it felt good regardless because I was
You
out
know
there.
what?
I was
Everybody
putting
got to start somewhere.
exactly, exactly. It was humbling, but it was worth it.
Oh yeah.
And at that party, my first wedding client approached me. Now, I hadn't even officially started the business on paper. I was working through the paperwork and getting that going. And my coworker approached me and he was like, hey, me and my fiance, we were listening to you and we honestly love what you played. Would love for you to DJ our wedding. It's in less than a year. And I committed to that. And then in the interim, started my official business, started my Instagram page, started to pick up some traction. Did some birthday parties, paid ones for some coworkers, my former boss, and then everything led up to that wedding, which actually went completely flawless. And after that, it was kind of like a
Nice.
snowball effect.
Yeah.
I got to say, if it wasn't for COVID, 2020 was definitely going to be a good year. But you know what? No regrets, honestly. I'm looking forward to next year. I've done somewhere between 10 and 12 gigs, thus far in my short career. But I think in the years coming up, things are really going to grow and progress, and I'm really excited for that.
So we have a running thing here with all these interviews. When was your first paying party? That's when you actually became a DJ. Your first
So,
paying party.
so I would say my first paying party, I believe, was my former boss's. I think she turned 50th birthday, I believe. Um, and it wasn't a huge payment, but I got paid for
You
it.
got paid.
I felt like my time was actually worth something, and so that was like early 2019. So early
Okay.
2019 is when I actually got paid for my first gig, and I did around 10 to 12 gigs since. Um,
Nice. So we
yeah.
got DJ Tommy Lee saying holiday parties are great. We got a question from Chris Gloss. He's checking in from YouTube.
What's
Um,
up, Chris?
he's saying, "What's the most challenging part of being a wedding DJ?"
That's a good question. it's not the easiest role. You know, it gets a lot of slack from club DJs and stuff, I think, because it gets underestimated. Wedding DJs, I think, have this negative perception of being corny and being cheesy, but I think for the most part, young DJs like myself are trying to change that. And I know a few other DJs that I follow and connect with on Instagram that are about the same thing. But I would say for me personally, it's the setup and breakdown. And I know that sounds cliche, but being a one man operation thus far, because I'm not in the I'm not having a consistent enough stream yet where I could hire an assistant or even look to do so. So I would say breaking down and setting up is probably the toughest part and the most underestimated, I would say, by a lot of people. You know, carrying the speakers, setting everything up, wiring, dealing with technical issues all by yourself, and kind of being a one man show in that regard. And I think if I were to add one more thing, I would say that there is a lot of responsibility put in your hand, oftentimes more than you think you signed up.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I've done weddings where, you know, there's no planner and you're the one in charge of the timeline. So you're the one telling people when it's time to eat, you know, when it's time to do a dance, making sure the photographer and the videographer are ready to take the important shots.
Right.
And, yeah, actually,
The drunk people making requests.
I've definitely had to deal with that as well. That could definitely be a pain. You got to learn how to deal with that cordially and professionally, but it definitely happens. It's inevitable in our field.
Hey, if you're an old school DJ out there, explain to DJ T Major about carrying crates of records. And everybody will help you in the party. But when it's 5 o'clock in the morning, you're standing there by yourself with 8 crates of records, 6 set of speakers, amps, everything.
Yeah. That's the age. That was always the burden of the classic DJ, old school DJ. It's just, you know,
Yeah,
thinking about what records you want to bring in, how many you want to carry, how much of a workout you want to get that day.
right. Now, all you have to do is bring one of these, and you
You're
got
good to
almost
go.
every piece of music you could dream of.
I know.
Oh man, that is funny. So, Chris Gloss is saying, "Wow, DJ and planner. Yes, when you're doing the wedding part of it, you have to get all the bride and groom records and well, music, I should say, not records. I just dated myself. You have to get all the good music. DJ Tommy Lee is saying wedding DJs make more money than regular club DJs. So, yeah,
I haven't done any clubs, I'll be honest, but I would definitely guess that that wedding DJ makes more money than a club DJ.
Here's a question for you. I'm not even going to ask it. You just look at it and you say, because I'm a
Mac,
Mac hater.
Mac. I think Windows and PCs have their place. I know some DJs that DJ on PCs. The funny thing is, I grew up on PCs. My dad gave me my first PC, I think, in '97 or '98,
Mm,
something like that. But you know, progressing to a Mac when I was in college, I've never looked back, and I feel like for some reason Macs seem to have more longevity. So, at least for me personally, you know, this computer right in front of me here is a 2012 MacBook Pro, and it still runs like a powerhouse.
yeah,
Granted, I've done a few things to it and
right. I
modified
was
it.
gonna say,
Yeah,
since you're a techie, you've done a few things. Let everybody know,
yeah,
what you've done and what they can do to extend their Mac.
absolutely. So for me personally, the first thing I did was upgrade the RAM, and I actually did it myself. Just my computer came with 8 gigs of RAM, and so I installed 16 gigs of RAM. So I upgraded the RAM so that it had more capacity to process and handle, you know, DJ software, editing software, um, and then what I'm working on currently is I'm actually replacing the old school drive with an SSD drive, solid state drive. They're known to run a lot faster, more efficiently. They've got better thermal capabilities. And the last thing I'm doing is actually replacing the battery. A lot of people don't know this, but you know, the newer MacBooks, they have a ton of issues. I was actually talking to a guy who works on computers, and he said he's repaired 18 brand new MacBook Pros in the last month. And the reason being is that they're a solid unibody and everything is kind of soldered into the motherboard. And
Right.
so you can't really customize or take parts out. And I think, especially for people like us DJs who tend to be more on the techie side, that's a big bummer because we love customization. That's what we're all about. So I'm kind of happy that I still have my 2012 MacBook Pro. And I'm not going to go out and say PCs are bad because I don't think they're bad at all. It's just my preference.
Yeah, yeah. I was about to cut you off if you said something like that, and
No,
finish this whole interview by myself.
well, I think PCs are huge in the gaming world. They're huge in the business world. They do serve a purpose, and they're very functional computers. I think for me, having an iPhone, an iPad, a MacBook Pro, just the universality of being able to use everything on the Apple universe, so to speak, makes things a lot better.
Yeah, Chris Gloss is saying the older Macs are better between 2011 and 2015.
Yep,
So
he's
I, I,
absolutely
I
right.
can go with that. Dave said you're definitely DJing his wedding.
Let's do it, man. Let's set it up.
I'm not sure what this is, DJ Barebones. Maybe that's an inside joke with y'all.
It might be. I don't know. I don't recognize it. It's funny though. Dave's a jokester. He likes to crack jokes.
Glad to have you here, Dave. So this virus hits. What were you looking forward to this year before this virus hit? Did you have anything planned already?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was aiming and on my way to doubling my gigs from the first year that I did, paid business. So that was 12 to 14, somewhere in that range. Second half of the year was still not really booked out too much, but I would say the one thing that I was looking forward to the most that didn't get to happen was my first destination wedding. And it was a close friend of my girlfriend's. They were going to be paying me, and it was going to be in St. Lucia in the Caribbean.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so I was really excited about that. For me, and I guess for any wedding DJ to be able to do something like that and be able to market yourself on that, that you are fully capable of doing a destination wedding that involves a lot more logistics, a lot more planning, a lot more detail. It was something I was extremely looking forward to. I thought that it was going to really, send my business, upwards in
Oh
the long
yeah.
run, especially from a marketing perspective.
Hmm.
And so obviously they had to push that out about a year. They're looking at dates in July of 2021 now. With fingers crossed that it's gonna happen. But yeah,
And you're still the DJ.
yes, I am.
Okay, good. That is sweet.
Yeah.
So now getting to the DJ music of it, what type of music do you play? I know you were here in New York and New Jersey, and now you're in San Diego. But what type of music did you do you play now as a DJ?
So I've been a hip hop head my whole life. So that's pretty much what I grew up on. Ironically, like I said, I grew up with Middle Eastern parents that were immigrants. So growing up having the Arabic music influence, I guess in a sense, gave me a broader sense of rhythm and culture. So I always found that my musical taste was pretty open and receptive. And so hip hop growing up where I did, which was right outside of New York City, very multicultural, very diverse, ethnically diverse area. I grew up with predominantly Hispanic population, but at the same time, we had everybody where I grew up. I mean, there was just people from all different backgrounds and cultures, and that made exposure to music a lot easier. Going to parties, you heard hip hop, you heard R&B, you heard the throwbacks. I grew up in the '90s, so '90s music was definitely hot. And then you had a lot of the Latin music, Latin influence. Bachata, merengue, reggaeton was huge back then, still is. And so, the overall influence of music was just so broad for me. My main go-tos are always going to be hip hop and R&B. It's just the music that I love. It's the music that I love listening to. It's the music that I vibe with the most. But I love everything from classic rock. I played guitar for a while. Definitely love classic rock.
Hey,
Love a little electronic music. I'd say electronic music's probably my least favorite. And some DJs are gonna look at me like, man, he's crazy. But it's just the way it is. It's not my cup of tea all the time. It has its moments. It serves a purpose. And I'm huge into Afrobeats and UK music recently. Uh,
Okay.
grime, grime, UK rap. Some of it I like to call Afro grime because you see the fusion of a lot of the, African background that a lot of these artists in the UK have coming
Mm,
together with that UK sound. And I think for me personally, and I've been saying this on my social media, and I've been saying that I think a lot of people sleep on the UK in that regard because I think their production and quality and their track quality is on another level from what I've been seeing and listening to.
right. We we got Chris Gloss. He's asking, what's your number one go to get the crowd moving song?
Man, well, it depends on the age of your crowd, but you can be cliche. The Bruno Mars songs are always going to get people jumping, but this is how we do it. Is definitely one that gets people up and jumping. You get a lot of call and response with that. I'm trying to think of a few others. Uh, Scoop definitely will always get people going.
We got your boy Dave who said lots of Billy Joel.
I like Billy Joel, especially coming from New York. Billy Joel's great. He's got a time and place, just like everybody, I think. Oh, that's my boy Cohen.
Yeah. He Cohen is saying he feels like he'd be a great DJ at family and friend functions. Do you have any recommendations on application that will transitions my songs without having the proper DJ equipment? Oh, he wants to mix, and
I
you
mean, you
need
can technically
proper
mix.
you need some good equipment. Go ahead and explain that.
Cohen loves handling the music. That's his thing. But I'm gonna tell you. So, if you really wanted to get ambitious, you could use the DJ app by Algorithm. Have you heard about it? I mean, it's a pretty popular iOS based DJing app.
You
Uh,
know I'm a Mac hater, and it's
so
iOS. There we go.
Um, so you could use that, but honestly, nothing compares to mixing on real equipment. I've tried messing with that app on my phone. It's not the most reliable in that regard.
Now,
And
what's the cheapest controller you can tell him to go get? Because you said you worked on a $250 one.
so the DDJ 200 by Pioneer actually works, I believe, via Bluetooth, but don't quote me on that. But it does work with the DJ app on your iOS, and I think that runs 150 bucks.
Nice, nice. He's gonna go get it. For everybody who's just joining us, we have DJ T Major, and he's coming representing from the West Coast in San Diego, California. So,
My light's acting up, so excuse me if it gets a little dark. But yeah, so I mean, Dave's talking about how we worked in Radio Shack together. We actually worked in
yeah,
Radio
he
Shack
said
together.
you should know how to solder and get that light going.
No, I think the battery's dying on my light, so it's going a little dark here.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
You're still good. You're still good.
no worries.
No worries. You're still good. So, what are you looking forward to now in the future? I mean, nobody knows when this virus is gonna exactly be over with and the planet's gonna open back up. But what are you looking forward to? What are you mastering now to be better when you come back, or when the planet opens back up?
Well, honestly, I mean, most important thing is getting my crates organized. I think that as a newer DJ, I think in the beginning I took that for granted a little bit.
Right.
I'm a pretty organized person. I'm very detail oriented. I tend to be kind of on the OCD side, which is not a bad thing when you're being a DJ. But I would definitely say that my crates need to be better organized, which I am working on. I've been working on some live streams, trying to get into the swing of things with that, which I've been enjoying, honestly. And then other than that, just constantly working on mixing, man. Just working on the skill itself, becoming smoother, better at it, and then just kind of getting into a point where I hope I can get so comfortable with mixing that I'm not so worried about the mixing anymore. I'm worried more about creating routines and becoming more creative within the realm of DJing. So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
you have a lot of knowledge in this community here. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of us go back to vinyl records, and we still have DJs here that made a career from the '80s, and they are on Serato, not Record Box. But yeah, you have a lot of talent here to reach out to when you want
No,
to
I,
know things.
no, I appreciate that, man, and I'm happy that we linked up for this opportunity because you definitely know a lot. You've been around a long time, and same with a lot of the other guys in your community, and I appreciate that. I'm definitely looking forward to being welcomed into it, and I think that's another really valuable thing that you bring up is that you can't be scared to learn from other DJs.
Right,
I know a couple DJs that like to preach community over competition, and I think that is probably the best principle you could live by as a DJ.
yeah,
To
because
hate
you never
or
know.
whatever on other DJs, I don't really find that to be useful for your overall progression as a DJ or as an artist. It's all
Right,
about collaboration. It's all about learning from one another. I never thought I could be teaching anybody anything, but I think I posted something on my story once about doing a mini, quick, cheap live stream for your client's wedding ceremony. In the time of COVID, where some family members couldn't make it, and I showed how to set it up on a cell phone, and immediately I was getting DMs like, how do you do that? Can you explain more? Can you make a video about it? And never in a million years would I have pictured myself making a video about something or discussing how to do something with another DJ who happens to be younger than me.
right.
But it's a chain. it's
Yep.
it's it's a hierarchy of people teaching other people skills that those people that come before them have already mastered.
Yeah, DJ Tommy Lee said you can always reach out.
Yeah, I
Uh,
appreciate that, man.
Chris Gloss is saying, "What's your dream DJ gig?" I know we talked about the St. Lucia thing, but is it something different?
I mean, I would say probably DJing for one of my favorite artists, or at like a big hip hop festival would probably be pretty dope. Um, anything where I'm like DJing the music that I love, for the crowd and culture that I love, would be very, very close to what a dream gig would look like. It's really hard to know what your dream gig is because you have an idea in your mind, but I think until it actually happens, you never really know what it really is meant to be.
Right.
Because like you said, the destination wedding, that's something I never thought I'd be doing the first year, in active business, but at the same time, it was happening and I was fully committed and ready to make it happen. So, but I would say like DJing for one of my favorite artists, or being like a tour DJ would be pretty dope.
So let me ask you, since you're a techie guy, what's your backup plan for your Mac in case it goes down? Do you have a backup plan?
Well, honestly, I don't have a backup computer right now, but I am working on it. Um, I think for me personally, having a hard drive, having the music on my phone, knowing that I can use my DDJ 1000, which is what I use now, to run a direct line of audio from any device that has the music on it, is something that I would probably turn to in that moment. Now, if the Mac completely went down, I mean, that's a really unfortunate situation. I pray that never happens. Uh, but I definitely think that having a backup computer, or nowadays, because you can DJ on an iPad, even having an iPad might be a good option.
Right. I just think having a backup because, as bulletproof y'all say Macs are, they can go down too. Somebody can spill something on it, you know.
A lot of
Anything can happen.
No, I completely agree, and that I think that's any DJ's biggest fear, especially when doing a big event or somebody's wedding, which is their special day that they pay tons of money for and that they waited years to make happen. But like I said, I am working on a backup computer, trying to figure out the best options. Still kind of weighing, because Macs are moving towards an ARM. Uh,
Look, DJ Tommy Lee say you forgot your plug and the battery goes dead.
oh man, that's the worst. See, that's something I hope never happens because that would be hilarious.
Oh man.
My biggest fear is somebody tripping over a plug and unplugging the entire system,
Uh-huh.
in one shot.
Yes, Chris, I am a Mac hater. Wait, is today a birthday for you?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Well, Leah, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
We got Dave saying, Boys the Men, Motown Philly is a great jam.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That is a good jam.
Oh, man. So, do you, being that you're a little bit newer in the DJ realm, do you have any questions for some of our DJs out here? Like I said, we have a lot of experience and we got quite a few people on.
That's a good question. Trying to think here. I mean, I think the one thing I would ask, and it's something that I deeply care about, is, what would you say is the key to longevity as a DJ? Aside from obviously keeping up with all the new music, which I think serves a purpose to some extent.
Right. So that's the question for you DJs, and we'll wait on your answers and keep going. So now it's you have the T1000, you said, right?
The DDJ 1000.
DDJ 1000. I'm thinking Terminator T1000. The DDJ.
Oh yeah, that's from Terminator 2. The guy that melts into liquid. Yeah.
So, is that it for you? Are you looking to get any better equipment, any more equipment? Maybe going to the Rain 70 or 72 with the Rain 12s. Are you looking to upgrade to any of that, or are you comfortable with your controller?
To be honest, I mean, given the price of the controller and what I spent on it, I'm comfortable with it for the time being. I think ultimately what I realized in buying it is that it has the capability to expand. And so being able to plug in turntables into my DDJ 1000 is already an option. So rather than potentially spending $4 or $5 on like a mixer and 2 turntables, I know that I have the option to slowly add maybe 1 turntable at first and then maybe 2. I will say that space is an issue right now. Living in a 1-bedroom apartment, it doesn't make it easy to set up, a DDJ 1000 plus 2 turntables, let alone
Right.
2 turntables and a mixer. But part of the reason I bought the 1000 was to have that flexibility and capability where I can plug a turntable or a CDJ in if I want, use it as a standalone mixer, and have a multifaceted device that can adapt and transform for any situation or any interest that I might develop, which, I've always been interested in turntablism. It's definitely very different than, using jog wheels or anything like that.
Right.
Something that by buying the 1000, I did not close that door. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because the 1000 is a big purchase. You're spending $1,300-$1,500 on a piece of
For real.
So you don't want to buy something that is a dead end, so to speak. You want it to be flexible, you want it to be adaptable, and you want it to be useful. But in the future, I have more space. I can add a turntable or 2, and I can get into turntablism without having to make another large purchase for a mixer or anything like that.
Right.
So I think it's really important, I would say, for any DJ getting into it or any DJ looking to upgrade to really research their gear before they buy it, and not just buy it because it looks cool or because it has cool lights and it's flashy. You really want to know what the overall, usability is of your gear and how conventional it is.
Right. We got DJ P Nice checking in. What's up, kid?
We
So
got a question in the building.
yeah, Cohen is saying, being a DJ, would you DJ your own special occasions, or would you feel more comfortable hiring a DJ?
That's a tough question because I think about that all the time when the day comes and I want to get married.
Yeah.
Control freak, you know. I want everything to be perfect, and I definitely want to hear
There's no way you can stand there and DJ at the same
right.
time.
Exactly. And I think that's the toughest challenge when thinking about occasions like that. You know, it's not realistic. You know what I mean? You want to be part of the event too. There has to come a time where the DJ gets to live his life
Hmm.
and experience his own special moments and special occasions. Now, if it was like a birthday party and it's more laid back, I think I would hop on the decks for a little bit. But if it was like my wedding per se, I'd have to, you know, do some research and entrust another soul to take on the task. You know, would I be on top of them 24/7? Probably, but but at the end of the day, you know, I give them a list of music, I tell them when not to play, and that's really what it comes down to. And you know, I know when the day comes, hopefully the DJ that I pick will definitely know how to execute.
Yeah. And like you were talking about, like we were talking about earlier about the community,
Yeah.
you know, don't be hating on anybody because that person might just be the person you pick to do your special events.
No, you're absolutely right, Harry. That's definitely true.
So that was a good question going. Yeah. So one my question, this is one of my last official questions I ask. What would you tell? I know you're a new DJ, but what would you tell a newer DJ, somebody that's just getting into the DJ thing and had to go through the pains that you went through by getting, you know, certain pieces of equipment, you know, not knowing the studying, doing your research, doing your homework? What would you tell this new DJ?
Well, what you said is definitely number one. Do your research and do your homework. Um, learn the craft, learn what goes into the craft, learn the history behind the craft. Number two, you know, I'm always about setting proper expectations, whether it's with a client, with a friend, in a relationship, anything like that. And the same goes with a new DJ. They have to gauge their expectations. Number one, you're not going to be DJing huge crowds your first, you know, year or a few months into it. Number two, it's going to be fun, but it's also going to be hard. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think all brand new DJs getting into it need to realize that you're going to sweat and you're going to grind and you're going to go through some frustrating times. You know, not everything's a home run right off the bat, but you will find out very quickly whether it's something you want to do long term or not. If you go through some rough gigs or you go through the hard work and you realize I love it even more now than I did before I went through all this, then you probably have enough confidence to say that this is something you want to do. And the last thing I would say is definitely invest your money wisely. Um, you know, if you were privileged enough to buy $1,000 piece of equipment right off the bat, by all means, you know, God bless and enjoy it. But if you're not, and you really have to make a wise spending decision, and you're not even sure if you're going to be a DJ forever or for the long term, then you definitely need to think about $150, $250 controller. Ignore the criticism, ignore, you know, any judgment that may arise or you think may arise out of owning one of those. It's called a beginner piece of equipment for a reason because you're a beginner and you want to learn how to DJ. And it may not have all the bells and whistles, but it has the solid foundation and the basics to get you started and to understand whether or not you want to do it.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, everybody pretty much says the same thing. Do your homework because this may not be for you. We had a newer DJ than you a couple of weeks ago. Well, really in June, and he just had his first party in November of 2019. Is that
Wow.
my phone?
I think it is.
Oh, embarrassing. Sorry, guys. This is my Apple phone that I never use and it never rings. Um, I done lost what I was saying.
You were talking about the newer DJ that you interviewed in June that just had his first
Oh
gig.
yes, he just had his first gig in November of 2019. So he was only maybe 7 months, 8 months into the game. But, the same thing, yes, and then the virus hit. But the same thing, he did his practice. He was in his home, and he actually said his wife told him, "You need to hang this up." So he started feeling some way, but he got better and started doing and started letting people hear it. And you get to the point like you did where people are asking you now, and you're not afraid to go out there.
Right.
Yeah, you're not going to be perfect. The party may not happen perfectly, but you did it.
You're absolutely right. And one thing I want to say about the COVID thing is, regardless of where you were in your journey, I think a lot of people looked at it negatively. I mean, I did it the first month. It wasn't easy,
Yeah,
but in a lot of ways, especially me being a 9 to 5er, and knowing that my time is not only limited but very valuable because of that. You know,
right,
because I'm dedicating the time after my 9 to 5 to then practice and work on my passion. Because if I don't, then nothing's going to happen.
correct.
And so, in a lot of ways, while I did dwell in the beginning for a little bit, ultimately you had to come to the realization that it was a blessing in disguise. I mean, when on earth do we, especially here in the United States, get this time where you just get to be home?
Get a break.
Right. You get a break. Some of us, really did stop working, and that was a very sad thing. But because life can be so short sometimes, that if you looked at it as a glass half full, you learn that it was actually a very valuable and priceless moment to be living through.
Yeah, man.
You could be home working on your craft, perfecting your skills, and everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah,
So you're not missing out on anything that anybody else is not missing out on.
for, for real. We got DJ Jazzy G, Scratch Master Jazzy G checking in. What's up, kid? For everybody who is just checking in, we have DJ T Major representing San Diego, Cali. So, yeah, we're gonna start wrapping this up, but one of the another question, another one of my last questions.
It's all good. Keep them coming.
you know, and this actually, this is not a last question. This is a new question that I'm asking. Um, yes, Jazzy, I am. Uh, have you ever heard about a show DJing interviews? I mean, interviewing DJs.
Not like yours, no. I would say, a lot of the, usual platforms like Serato's Instagram will do interviews, and BPM Supremes, a lot of the record pools will have guests over to do interviews. But I've never come across like an officially, solely interview based program that is designed like this. And it's a blessing, because even for me as a new DJ, I've always felt like I had something to share. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
may not be the most skilled yet or the most advanced yet, but I'm 30 years old. I've worked. I've held a lot of jobs. I was an EMT for 5 years. I've come across people. Volunteered overseas. So I've done a lot, and learned what it takes to grind and to work at something that you want to happen. And so having an opportunity like this and a platform like this is so invaluable in that way, because not too many people will give you that opportunity, even
right.
if you do have something, important or valuable, or meaningful to share. So no, I haven't seen any program like this. I think you have a really great thing. I think it's on its way to being something even bigger and better.
Thank you. And my thought behind this, and I'm sharing a little bit of this now. My thought behind this was exactly what you were saying, that all DJs have a story, whether you have been in the game for the last 40 years or you're brand new into it. You still had to grind. You still had to work. You still had to, after work, depending, no matter what time you got out of work, You know, some people work the night shift and they coming in and grinding on turntables or now controllers.
Mm. No, you're absolutely right. And I can relate 100%. You know, I've been there, still going through it, you know,
Right.
where you got to not only manage your time, but you got to manage your life. You got to achieve that balance.
Hmm.
And I think for me personally, the thing that makes me feel good is that I am a living example that A, it's never too late, and B, there's always a way. You
Yeah.
know, you know, there some people want to be full-time DJs, but then don't know when, how they're going to pay their next bill or their meal. You have to really strategize and plan for every moment and every move that you make in your life. It's, thinking back before COVID, my whole mentality was I'm going to leave this 9 to 5 world and become a full-time DJ. But then COVID hit and I'm like, I still got my paycheck. I still have my health benefits, and I'm still able to keep my business afloat, my side
Yes.
business. And while it was stressful, it wasn't as stressful as some of the, men and women out there who are DJs who are only DJs.
Yeah.
So it's a true testament to don't nag the 9 to 5, even if it is stressful. Listen, my 9 to 5 stresses me out, drives me crazy some days. At the end of the day, the most important thing is knowing I have a paycheck and I can use some of that money to invest in my business and keep my
Yeah.
business afloat so that if an emergency does hit, I can continue to do what I got to do.
Yeah. Like Jazzy G is saying, updating your equipment, maintaining your equipment.
Absolutely.
know, with
Cleaning it, keeping it up to the speed,
yeah.
everything.
So, I just thought, you know, a lot of the mainstream DJs you may have or may not have heard of, they get their props and they get their airtime, but the regular DJ who's been in and out and doing a whole bunch of things and they're not on TV or in a video or on YouTube. They have their stories and they've been in the grind and they have an area like you're gonna have your part in San Diego where people just yo DJ T Major yo.
And that's what I'm hoping for. And that's
Yeah.
something that you really got to build over time. And you're absolutely right. I think a lot of DJs don't get enough credit for what they do. And
Mm-mm.
even during the pandemic, we saw that, between the live streaming issues, a lot of DJs were pushing back on the fact that, live streams are being taken down. But it's like, this is one of the only ways that we're keeping people happy and enriched during this really rough time because music cures the soul. Music is what keeps the soul going and what keeps people feeling good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then also it was a double-edged sword because you also had the government kind of turning its back on a lot of the independent workers and independent artists and DJs and not giving them benefits the way that a regular 9 to 5 or W-2 worker would. And so you see that right away. They are neglected, unfortunately.
Enriched.
Hopefully this will change that. I think a lot of movements have been sparked because of COVID-19. I think just the overall appreciation for what a DJ does and what a DJ brings to the picture is so valuable.
Yeah. Without the DJ, the music doesn't play.
Exactly. And like I said, with weddings, a lot of other things won't happen either without a DJ.
Right. So, I do thank you for coming on, and from your experience here, who else do you know? What other DJs do you know needs their story told?
Hmm. I mean, I know you and I were talking about this, but my friend DJ Stacy, she's a single mom, hardworking DJ. She's been DJing for a long time. She just moved from San Diego to Cancun, Mexico. Actually, she retired from the wedding DJ world, so
Wow.
she's aiming to just get solely into the club gigs, into the fun stuff in Cancun. But she's got a really amazing story, and she's been on a long and very respectable journey. So if I were to recommend anybody, she'd be my go-to. Be the
Yeah.
next guest, I would hope.
Well, yeah. Let's make that connection.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
I thank you much for coming on and sharing some of your time and sharing some of your story with the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you having me here. It's been an amazing opportunity.
We definitely want to keep up with your young career. So, are you willing to come back at a later date and update us?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All
I'll
right,
definitely be down for that.
cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have DJ T Major out of San Diego, California. Thank you, bro. I'll
Thank you.
I'll
Appreciate
put
you,
you in
Harry.
the green room. Hold on for a second. So, thank you, everybody. This has been another DJ interview. And, we went to the West Coast this time. I want to thank everybody who joined us from YouTube and from Twitch and from Periscope, Twitter, Facebook. Thank you so much for making this show happen. We will see you always Tuesday, 8-ish Eastern Time. We'll talk to you soon.